What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. Trying to do some more streams, so I figured why not stream tonight, Friday night? There's not much going on in the MMA world for the next, what seems like 2 weeks. I think this Saturday there's really nothing other than the Triller Freak Show, which we can talk about on tonight's stream. Next week is Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann, which is the main event of UFC Vegas 37. Guys, do me a favor, like the stream. I greatly appreciate it. And put in any questions you guys want to talk about in the chat. What's going on, Goat Zay? Appreciate you stopping by. I figure we can also talk about, I feel like it's not getting enough discussion. And we talked about it a little bit on Wednesday's live chat. But I wanted to talk about Brian Ortega versus Alexander Volkanovsky for the featherweight title. Because that fight is really being overlooked, I feel, by a lot of people. It's a super exciting matchup. It makes sense, and it's a very on paper it's a very competitive fight. So I figure we can discuss that and whatever else you guys want to talk about. Really, I feel like the MMA world for these last few weeks have been a little slow, and there hasn't been a lot to discuss. I feel like, but we find stuff to talk about. There's stuff that I forget about. That I'm sure some of you guys will ask me a question of something that I have not covered on my channel yet. I appreciate you guys so much for just stopping in and checking out the stream. Kevin, what's going on? What's going on, Big Booty Judy? Hope you're doing well. So let's first, before we get into anything, I put it in the title. When I do these random live streams, I kind of just throw together like a title and description, but I like to at least touch on the topics within the title and description, because otherwise, what is the point of them? But let's talk about Brian Ortega versus Volkanovski. It's on UFC 266, which goes down on September 25th in Las Vegas. And this is a very overlooked main event, especially with all the big fights that have been announced recently. At 268, you have Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman 2. For some reason, I lost my train of thought there for a second. At UFC 267, it's a stacked fight card. The main event is Jan Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira. UFC 269 is supposedly going to be Charles Oliveira defending his lightweight title against Dustin Poirier. So I feel like this fight is getting overlooked, but also we've been starved of MMA for what feels like so long. The last pay-per-view was the first week of August. Let me look up the date real quick. UFC 265 was August 7th. So that's absolutely insane. If you pull up a calendar, right? So 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. 7 weeks in between UFC 265 and UFC 266. How insane is that? That's one of the largest gaps between UFC pay-per-views I can remember for a long time. I mean, usually it's about 3 to 4 weeks in between pay-per-views, but it is what it is. I don't know why they're doing this. Sometimes they have these gaps. Sometimes they have fights every weekend. But Volkanovski is a champion that I feel like doesn't get enough respect just because of his last 2 fights were close fights against Max Holloway. I know it's an unpopular opinion, and you guys can let me know what you think in the chat, but I truly believe that Alexander Volkanovski clearly won both of those fights against Max Holloway. The second fight was very close. First fight, I thought there was no doubt in my mind that Volkanovski won that fight in the first fight against Max Holloway. The second fight was razor thin, but I thought Volkanovski had it. And I feel like just because of that, people don't give him enough respect. They say, he lost to Max Holloway. He shouldn't even be champion. But you look over Volkanovski's resume, and you guys know I'll do a full breakdown and prediction before the fight card happens. But you look over Volkanovski's resume, and I mean, is there a better 4-fight win streak? Chad Mendes, back when Chad Mendes was decent. Jose Aldo, who looks better than ever now that he's went down to 135. Max Holloway and Max Holloway. I mean, that's almost a GOAT featherweight resume at this point, and I know some people are going to think I'm crazy just because the Max Holloway wins were close, But look, to beat Jose Aldo and then Max Holloway twice in a row, if he beats Brian Ortega, my guess is, who will he fight next? That's the real question. Let me tell you what I think of that one, because I didn't put too much thought into that yet. I think he will probably fight the winner of Yair Rodriguez versus Max Holloway. If Max Holloway wins, I think that probably he gets a third shot. Even though he's lost twice, I think he's a fan favorite. And also, I think that the first two fights were so close. The UFC likes Max, and they will be willing to give him a third shot, even though he's lost the other two fights. So, if Max beats Yair, Max almost definitely gets the next shot. But there is some other, I think there's a chance. It all depends. This is months down the line. It's only September. These fights aren't, I'm talking about Max versus Yair, isn't happening until November. So realistically, if Max fights in November, beats Yair, but between now and then, maybe Giga Chikadze gets a big win over maybe a Korean Zombie or something like that, there's a chance Giga could slip in there. They could say, oh, well, we don't want to see the trilogy. We don't want to see this fight as a trilogy. He's already beat him twice. Giga Chikadze has a big cult following. There's a lot of people that think that, Giga is already championship caliber. Giga has proven himself to me. I was not on the Giga bandwagon. I thought he looked good, but he hadn't fought the quality of competition that I would have liked to see. But with that win over Edson Barboza, I am all aboard the Giga Chikadze train. So, since Max isn't fighting until November, Giga could slip in there, get a big win, and then maybe he could be next in line. But let me just say this. If Brian Ortega wins and wins impressively, and let's say he KOs Volkanovski or he submits Volkanovski, and Max wins, they are 100% doing Brian Ortega versus Max Holloway for the featherweight title. And that would be so strange considering Max beat him up so badly just a few years ago, December. I don't remember what pay-per-view that was, but that was December of 2018, I believe. And it's crazy that Brian Ortega's only one win removed from that Max Holloway beating. But if Brian Ortega wins and wins impressively, and people aren't calling for a rematch with Volkanovski, and Max Holloway beats Yair, which I suspect he will, then we're getting Brian Ortega as the featherweight champion versus Max Holloway for the featherweight title. Max Holloway would be the challenger. That'd be such a strange thing to see. And if I was Brian Ortega, I'd be begging for a different opponent there. So this is going to be very interesting because right now, and I flip back and forth on this. Right now, I favor Volkanovsky, but Brian Ortega looks so good in that Korean Zombie fight. So at UFC 266, who knows what's allowed to happen. I right now, my confidence level, I try to give you guys percentages. My confidence level in that Volkanovski beats Ortega, I would say I am around 65%. So that's not too far off from 50-50, really. It's not that far off. And I think Ortega possesses a lot of skills. I think he's improved drastically since his loss to Max Holloway. The time off, the healing has done him very, very well. He looks super impressive in that Korean Zombie fight. Who would have thought? I picked Korean Zombie in that fight. I was dead wrong on that one. He went out there and outstruck Korean Zombie. How often do you see that? Especially with a guy like Brian Ortega who just got brutalized by Max Holloway, but he took the time off that he needed, and he came back and he looked great, and he beat him up, and he's spinning back elbow landed. It was a perfect performance by Brian Ortega, and the fact that he lost to Max Holloway in a title fight, and he had one win since then, and he's getting another title shot. He's doing something right with the career. Guys, do me a favor if you're in here. Make sure to like the stream. It pushes it out to more people. Also, if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. And also, because of trolls, you have to be subscribed to participate in the chat. So go ahead and subscribe, and that way, you can be able to participate in the chat. Was my audio sounding weird? I actually had my microphone on for my computer as well as my regular microphone here. So I hope my audio didn't sound too strange. But I'm curious what happens because I really think, Volkanovski's so well-rounded. And Brian Ortega appears to become so well-rounded. And we know Ortega's jiu-jitsu and submission skills are amazing. So if Ortega starts to win on the feet, which I don't know if that will or will not happen, but what's Volkanovski's options? What do you guys think Volkanovski will do if Ortega starts to win on the feet? Because I don't know if he can take... I know he could probably take Ortega down, but can he take Ortega down and stay out of the submission dangers? I just really don't know. And maybe Volkanovski, it will be majority contested on the feet, and maybe, Ortega will just lose a decision on the feet or eventually get stopped. But I wouldn't be counting on that too much. And Ortega knows, he doesn't have to... He can throw with reckless abandonment on the feet because he knows he doesn't have to worry about getting taken down. He really doesn't. So, because if he gets taken down, he knows he's competent off his back. So, this fight is going to be very, very interesting. And I feel like just because of the time off of the UFC not having any pay-per-view events and all these, it hasn't really been recent, but like within the last 2 weeks, we've got a lot of big announcements. This UFC 266 card is getting overlooked vastly. I'm actually going to probably make a solo video on it just because it's being overlooked so badly. And there's a lot of quality fights on UFC 266. And it's only, 2 weeks away, I believe. Yeah, so 2 weeks from tomorrow. Yep, 2 weeks from tomorrow is the 25th, I believe. So it's not that far away. All right, let me see what you guys have to say in the chat. Big Booty Judy says Alexander should beat Brian. Charles is going to beat Dustin. We'll talk about that a little bit in a second. The first fight was 4-1 Volk. Second was 3-2 Volk. I don't remember what I scored it personally, but I know I thought the second fight was vastly closer, but I still thought that Volk had it. I don't remember what I scored it. It's been so long now. He beat Jose in a 3-rounder too. Exactly, and he looked good doing it. Winner of Yair Max, already said that. Volk is one of the smartest champs we have right now. His ability to adapt in the fight is crazy. Exactly. And to be able to, people are criticizing him saying he lost to Max. Even if you really think he lost to Max, those fights were highly competitive. So just to be able to look competitive against Max Holloway, who's just bulldozing guys and just swarming them and peppering them, and the volume and the cardio is just drowning them, to survive against Max is a feat in itself. Volk underrated because Holloway fans thought Max won. Yeah, Volk is highly underrated. It's crazy. If Holloway loses to Alexander again, he should close the chapter at 45 and move to 55. Maybe, because I don't know what he does again. If he loses to Volkanovski again, he's in a weird spot because if you lose 3 fights, no matter how close they are, to one fighter, the fight isn't happening again. And especially as stacked as 45 is. And then on top of that, you have the problem where the UFC is not going to want to put the upcoming stars against you, because if Max then beats Giga Chikadze, then now we're left without a contender, and we got a guy who's not fighting for the title beating the contenders. So it's not a good spot to be in at all. It's no man's land. We've seen it happen to guys. So they don't want you fighting the champion because you already lost to him 3 times. But at the same time, they don't want you fighting up-and-coming contenders because they don't want you to knock off contenders who could potentially actually fight for the belt, fight against the champion. So it's a weird position to be in. Max beats him the 3rd time. Maybe so. If Holloway loses to Alexander again... Hold on. I just got lost that quick. If Holloway loses to Alexander again, he should move up to 55. Probably so. I think I might have already read that. But Max beats Conor at 155. I agree. Max Holloway beats Conor McGregor at 155. 100% agree with you on that one. Diaz all day, every day. Okay, I'm fine with that. Ortega will have to push the pace against Volk and get a submission. Yeah, I don't know if he has that ability. I think he has to outstrike him. He has to use a high fight IQ. And I draw a lot of comparisons to this fight all the time. I think he has to take the Fabricio Werdum, Cain Velasquez route. He has to win just enough on the feet where Volkanovski knows he's losing and has to try to change the game plan, whether it be grappling or whatever. And if he shoots it on a takedown, that it may not end well for him. Good morning, Max is invisible. Right now, he is the GOAT of the division. I think you meant invincible. Maybe he probably is the GOAT of the division. Brian Ortega might give Holloway a good challenge if they fight again. His boxing looks really good. I personally wouldn't mind seeing that, especially if he beats Volkanovski. But I don't think Ortega beats Max Holloway. I mean, maybe it's the first fight, giving me the heebie-jeebies, but I just really don't foresee Ortega being able to deal with that volume and pressure of Max Holloway. Brian won't win on the feet. He will get frustrated that Volkov will connect more than him and shoot in desperation takedowns. Maybe. And Volkanovsky has great leg kicks. I see it while his legs get chewed. Yeah, Volkanovsky has great leg kicks. So he could chew up the leg of Ortega. Obviously he has good striking. He could chew him up on the feet. And then Ortega could end up looking for desperation takedowns. I'm not sure. I'm not ready to predict that. You guys know, I will be putting out prediction videos as it gets closer, and I'll give you an in-depth breakdown of exactly what I think, what I see, what I look back at past fights, look at the resumes of both guys, and, look at some of the past fights and what they did in those fights, and really try to break down how I got to my prediction. But as I told you, I'm leaning Volkanovski right now. But there's a chance I change my mind. What's going on, Dino? I hope you're doing well. Alexander and Giga should be an interesting fight. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. It should be a very interesting fight. I think Giga needs it, or Giga. I pronounce his name all different ways. I think Giga needs to get at least one more solid win. Maybe against Korean Zombie. Real main event, Diaz versus Lawler. We're going to talk about that in a second. Max don't want to go to 155. He's not the best there, and 155 is at its best right now. Well, I think Max went up there rather quickly. I would like to see Max go to 155 eventually where there's no turning back. I'd like to see him put on some weight and really make do the right thing and move to 155 the right way is what I'm trying to say here. Because he just kind of short notice jumped up to 155, fought for the vacant, or, it was the interim belt. And, Max will take any fight. He'll fight anybody. But I'd like to see him kind of take some time, maybe plan it a year in advance, 6 months in advance, 8 months in advance, really put on a solid, 10 pounds or so, and really make the right move to 155 and do it, the right way. Put on some size. Because he just looks so undersized versus Dustin Poirier, 100%. Holloway should probably move up if he loses again. Probably. Tony Ferguson has a fight coming up. He announced on Twitter, fight news coming soon. I wonder that might be, I hope it's not another wrestler. They need to give Ferguson a striker or someone who would stand. I want it to be Nate Diaz. I want it to be Nate Diaz badly. I wonder when it'll be announced. I really want it to be, I want Tony Ferguson versus Nate Diaz. And I know not a lot of people are talking about that fight, but that fight will garner a lot of interest. I mean, is there anybody in this chat right now? Let me know in the chat. Do you not want to see Tony Ferguson versus Nate Diaz in a 5-rounder? Because if you don't, I don't know that you love MMA. But I'm genuinely curious. Let me know if you guys don't want to see that fight. I just need to know because I absolutely would love that fight. It's definitely not going to be Nate Diaz. You don't know that, but what makes you say that? It's possible. Don't shatter my hopes. Oh my God, I would rather see Tony versus Conor. Yeah, but the winner of Tony versus Nate Diaz could fight Conor upon his return. You know what I mean? Tony is finished. He hasn't been the same since. Come on, Yusuf. I don't think that's true. So hold on. Let's talk about Tony Ferguson a little bit. Let me actually put that in the description of these chats. Tony Ferguson's future. Let me put that in the description. So Tony Ferguson has a fight. Let's look at the rankings and who could he fight right now. So you look at lightweight. Charles is fighting Dustin. Justin Gaethje is fighting Michael. Beneil Dariush is waiting for an opponent, but he just beat up Tony. Islam Makhachev has a fight with RDA. Dan Hooker is fighting Nasrat, or however you pronounce his name. Dos Anjos is obviously fighting Islam. Connor's out for a while. Gregor Gillespie, no way. I'm telling you right now, If the UFC books Tony Ferguson versus Gregor Gillespie, I might be done with the sport. Because to do Tony Ferguson so wrong like that, I would be so disgusted. So let's take a look. Who could he fight? Because there's some people either past that. I'm going to tell you this right now, just looking at the division. I don't want to see Tony Ferguson fight anyone in the top 15, barring maybe Diego Ferreira. But I really think he could fight some people at 170. We could see him against maybe a Bilal Muhammad, maybe Jorge Masvidal. I don't know if I'd really want to see the Jorge Masvidal fight. Let's see. Sorry, I actually clicked out of it that quick. Who else could he fight? You know, I don't really want to see him fight Santiago Ponzinibbio. I don't want to see him fight Neil Magny. I really, for me, Tony, right now, I need to see him against Nate Diaz or Conor McGregor. And Conor McGregor's going to be out for a while, so it's only Nate Diaz. If Robbie Lawler or Nick Diaz wins, I think, or regardless of how Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz, which we're going to talk about in a second, regardless of how that plays out, I would like to see the winner of or loser fight Tony Ferguson. I would love Tony Ferguson versus Robbie Lawler. I would love Tony Ferguson versus Nick Diaz. I think that would make a lot of sense. Winner or loser, it doesn't matter if they win or lose. By the way, guys, don't check it out now while we're on the stream, but check out my video I did on Jorge Masvidal's next opponent. So I broke down all the 5 most likely opponents for Jorge Masvidal next, and I put it in the list of least likely to most likely. So I put that video out yesterday. You guys can check that out. By the way, guys, do not forget to like the stream and also become a member of the channel. The link is in the description. You guys can get all these custom emojis and some behind-the-scenes stuff. You can get a Nate Diaz custom emoji, Dana White custom emoji, Habib custom emoji, Sleepy Conor McGregor custom emoji, Joshua Fabia custom emoji, and Mike Perry broken nose custom emoji. I'm putting them all in the chat right now. You guys can join the channel for literally a couple dollars and help support the channel. The link is in the description. And you get to use those emojis in the live chat and the comments, and you also get some other benefits too. But Tony Ferguson is in a weird spot because now he's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's lost to Gaethje, he's lost to Charles Oliveira, and he's lost to Beneil Dariush. All 3 of those guys, and this is one of my, almost my lines that I always say now, is that people are dancing on Tony Ferguson's grave. And I actually want to make a video about Tony. There's so many video ideas that I have, but also I want to make a video about RDA as well, because people write these guys off, and they're still quality guys, and they fought nothing but killers. I mean, listen to that list. Justin Gaethje, an absolute killer and a savage. Charles Oliveira is the current champion, a savage. Beneil Dariush currently ranked number 3. Come on, cut Tony Ferguson some slack. Give him a manageable opponent. Give him a manageable opponent. And let me actually pull up. Let me see the rankings outside the top 15. There's a website that has the UFC rankings outside. Let me look at lightweight and see if there's any matchups I'd want for him. So let me pull this up real quick. So outside the top 15, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see him fight Gamrot. I wouldn't mind Tony Ferguson versus an Alexander Hernandez. And I don't think that's a savage fight, but it's a fight that Tony Ferguson can win, and that's really what I want right now. I want a decent competitive fight that Tony Ferguson can win. So you could give him Alexander Hernandez. You can give him Thiago Moises. I don't want to see him fight any of those guys. You could give him a Vince Pichel. He's on a 3-fight win streak right now. He's ranked currently on this website. He's ranked number 24 in the lightweight division. But there is some fights that you can give him against decent opponents. I think, honestly, I wonder if it's going to be Diego Ferreira. And Diego Ferreira is still in the rankings at number 11. And he's on a 2-fight losing streak himself. So I'm wondering if we might get Diego Ferreira versus Tony Ferguson. I'd like to see the Nate Diaz fight. That's what I want. Let's see. Make a video about Ferguson. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on, let me go up. I got to read all your guys' stuff. You guys are filling the chat. Keep filling the chat. If you guys have any questions, put it in the chat. I would rather see Tony versus Conor. Tony said some boy 170. I think it's Nate. I hope so. That's the fight that I've been campaigning for. Tony is finished. He hasn't been the same since. They want ever Tony Ferguson a money fight. Tony might be done should go to 45. I don't know if he can make 45. Tony's kind of big. I know he's skinny, but I don't know if he can make 45. He's very tall. When you take damage he took against Justin, you don't come back the same, plus he's old. I agree. And Tony, people don't realize it, Tony's taken a lot of damage over his career. He took a lot of damage in the... What fight was that? Does anybody remember the guy's name that stepped in on short notice to fight Tony Ferguson? Lando Venata, that's what it was. Lando Venata beat him up. Not beat him up, but pieced him up and dropped him quite a few times in their fight. Ferguson versus Chimaev. Please stop. Stop it, Yusuf. I want to see Tony Ferguson fight Chaos Williams. That wouldn't be a bad fight. It's Val how they're allowing fights tomorrow. We will discuss that here in a minute. All three are top three. Give Tony a bum if they won't. Two, Tony literally might go to jail. Or, yeah, give Tony. I wouldn't mind seeing Tony fight Cowboy Cerrone in a rematch. I was thinking Ferguson versus Chaos. Prime Ferguson beats Poirier. He has better BJJ and will accumulate more damage on the feet with nonstop pressure. I don't know. Thank God for the UFC is on tomorrow. There's no UFC on tomorrow, Simple Jack. There's no UFC on tomorrow, my friend. I'm sorry to break that to you. Thiago is a wrestler, Joe. He would take Tony Ferguson down. I don't know. I mean, he's not a heavy style wrestler. Diego's a wrestler. He would wrestle Ferguson. Diego's more of a jiu-jitsu guy. He doesn't have very good takedowns. Who should Gregor Gillespie fight next? That's a great question, actually. We'll get to that in a second. Tony Ferguson would kill himself trying to make 45. He can rematch Lando, too. Yeah, that's all an option. I just really want the Nate Diaz fight. So let's take a look. Who should Gregor Gillespie fight next? There's not really any options. Everyone's booked up. There's nobody. And Brad Riddell just signed to fight Rafael Fiziev. Our man Sarukian has a fight. Who's Sarukian fighting next? That's what I don't remember. Let me take a look at that. Sarukian, where is he at? He's fighting Christos Gigos on the 18th. So he's got a fight coming up. Gregor Gillespie could fight the winner of our Sarukian versus Gigos, preferably if it's Sarukian, which I think it probably will be. I think that's a legitimate matchup for Gregor Gillespie. Other than that, he's just got to wait. He's got to wait because, there's a lot of fights in the lightweight division yet to play out. So we have to see that wait. As much as I hate to say it, Gregor might be Tony Ferguson only. Dude, don't say that. Do not say that. I do not want that at all. That would be devastating. If the UFC books Tony Ferguson versus Gregor Gillespie, I am going to be pissed. That would be an awful matchup for Tony. All right, let's see. So let's go back and talk about UFC 266. Because UFC 266 has some decent fights on it. But ideally, I would like to see Tony Ferguson versus Nate Diaz. Riddell versus Fiziev is an absolute amazing fight. You don't think Gregor would stand with Ferguson? No way, dude. He is dragging Tony down and beating him up badly. And he has unlimited stamina too. So it's not like he's going to fade later. You could do the Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson rematch. That's another option. I don't necessarily like that option. Okay, let's see what we got going on. We got Alexander Volkanovsky, Brian Ortega, which we already discussed. Valentina Shevchenko versus Lauren Murphy, which I think is going to be an absolute slaughter. Is anybody excited for Lauren Murphy to fight Valentina Shevchenko? I mean, I'm always happy to see Valentina fight, but I don't know. Then you have Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler, which I think is going to get a lot of fans excited, but I'm excited for the match just based on the nostalgia. You know, they fought so long ago. They're both legends of the sport. Both former Strikeforce fighters. I think they both fought in Pride at one point in time. And they're just legends of MMA, regardless of who they fought for. They're both legends. And I don't know what the fight does for either one of them. I just think it garners a little bit more sales for the UFC. Hold on a second. My nose started to... My mustache is constantly making my nose itch. But if Nick Diaz wins, guys, where does he go from there? If Nick Diaz beats Robbie Lawler at UFC 266, who do you want to see Nick Diaz fight next? I'm genuinely curious. Obviously, I made my video yesterday. You guys can check that out. Are you going to save the stream? What do you mean, save the stream? What does that mean, Big Booty Judy? When do you turn 29, Joey? What do you mean? Am I going to save the stream? What does that mean? But Nick Diaz versus Robbie, I think it's going to garner some extra pay-per-view sales. I think people are more excited for that than they are Valentina Shevchenko versus Lauren Murphy. And I think no matter who wins, I just hope it's a good fight. I don't want to see anyone get destroyed. I don't want to see anybody get destroyed. You know, I would rather not see a finish than just a super competitive fight. Every live stream is every single live stream is just reposted on the channel. I don't private any of them. So you guys can always go back and rewatch the live streams. No matter what happens on them, I just let them go and go to the channel. They upload as soon as the live stream ends, and you guys can watch it in its entirety if you want. My birthday is not till next year. My birthday is not till next year. How about that for an answer? Yeah, I'll pay to see that. Say, when's your B-Day? Okay. I don't think he is anywhere. Maybe just more money fights. I'm curious, do you think Nick Diaz is going to stick around? How many fights? Put in the chat. I want every single person who's listening to this stream right now. How many fights do you think Nick Diaz fights after the Robbie Lawler fight? Like, how many more fights does he have in him? 1, 2, 0? What do you guys think? Please answer that in the chat. If you're going to give me one answer tonight, make that be it. And let me actually add that. I got to figure out a way in these live streams. One, I got to try to stay on topic and not jump around as much. But when I'm reading the questions, it's hard not to jump around. But to be able to get timestamps for this and put them in the description. Nick Diaz. I try to remember to what we talked about in here and put it in the description so that it's actually a relevant description. I'll pay to see. I don't think he's going anywhere. Okay. If you had a chance to instantly return a fighter back to his prime, who would it be? Mine would be Tony Ferguson. Instantly return a fighter back to his prime. Probably Anderson Silva. I really miss Anderson in his prime. And we'll talk about Anderson in a little bit just because of the freak show that's going on tomorrow night. But Big Buddha Judy says 0. Yusuf says 3 tops. Goatze says 2 beats. Jorge then gets the shot. Can you imagine if Nick Diaz fights Kamaru Usman? Do you know what Kamaru Usman will do to Nick Diaz? And, you know, I love the Diaz brothers. And if you guys look, I have a Nick Diaz bobblehead right here. An autographed bobblehead. Look at that. Autographed. And if you guys are a member of the channel, which you can join it via the link below, you guys will see all my MMA memorabilia. I post it on there like every couple days or so. Some behind-the-scenes stuff. I'm a big Nick Diaz fan. That's the point I'm getting to. And I'm a Nate Diaz fan. And if he fights Kamaru Usman, he will get demolished. And it will not be pretty at all. So if you had a fighter to instantly return back to their prime, okay, I did say Anderson already answered that. I really like Anderson Silva. He's what got me into MMA really. I will never forget him submitting Chael Sonnen in the 5th round. 3, you're doing a stellar job. Okay, why are you such an Anderson Silva fan? You're doing a stellar job. I'm glad you're enjoying the content, Simple Jack. I really am. I'm really glad you're enjoying it. I'm trying to grow this channel, man. I'm trying to just be consistent, be there. A lot of people, I feel like, they jump into YouTube channels. They're there for a couple weeks or maybe a month or two. They don't see that crazy growth they want or whatever to go hurry up and get 10,000, 20,000 subs. And they just quit and they just disappear off YouTube. I'm really trying to just steadily grow this channel week by week. So if anybody's watching this, make sure you subscribe. Let's see. But Anderson Silva is what got me into MMA. I mean, that triangle choke on Chael Sonnen, some of his fights were just super amazing. The front kick to Vitor Belfort, the bludgeoning of Yushin Okami, the second Chael Sonnen fight. He just, I really enjoyed watching him, versus Stephan Bonner, destroying Stephan Bonner on short notice. And I just would like to see him back there because I really felt like a lot of people crapped on him for showboating in the cage, but I really believe he was doing that to, just entertain the fan. So that's who I would return. What's up, bro? What's going on, Ginge? I hope you're doing well. Just curious, would you like to that? Okay, I did. Never got to see Nick. Is he better fighter than Nate? Maybe in his prime. I don't know about now. Maybe in his prime. Someone else is probably more equipped to answer that. Kamaru would do anything to get his hands on any of the Diaz bros. He'll take both on in one night. Agreed. Remember when Roy ragdoll Nate cringed to watch? I actually mentioned that. After this stream ends, go watch my video where I talked about Jorge Masvidal. It's the most recent video on my channel. I actually specifically mentioned Nate Diaz versus Roy McDonald in that video. So check that out, Sebastian. It's something different with the lighting. Something very, very small. It's my lamp in the background. It's just a different color. If I change it, it'll be all back to the same. Check it out. Ready? Ready? It's just a little bit brighter because that light's like a normal lamp right now. So if I change it, let me change it for you real quick. So if I go to blue, there you go. See? There you go. There you go, Ginge. I think that looks better anyway. I think that lamp looks awesome in the background. Then you have this little orange light right here. I got to do a members, Ginge, I got to do a members only like video walkthrough of the entire office setup so you can really see what's going on in here. And you can see some of this stuff that's actually the blurry background. You can see it actually in crisp HD. I got a feeling if Ferguson loses again, he's going to announce his retirement in the octagon. I don't know if Tony Ferguson ever retires, honestly. Anderson Silva is the original Black Beast, okay? That fight was crazy how he won in the 5th round. I know. I seen that video. I'm assuming you're talking about the Jorge Masvidal video. Yeah, I mentioned Rory McDonald absolutely destroying Nate Diaz. It was destruction. I seen you so many times I knew something was different. I usually play with the color in the background, but I typically like blue or purple. But I have like this wheel on my phone, and you can drag it to any color. Can you see that? You can drag it to any of those like millions of colors, basically every different shade. You can drag it over to green. You can drag it over to yellow. You can drag it over to red, orange. I typically like to have it on blue. I think blue looks the best. So it's usually, that's actually the color you see in the lamp today when you came in is the color I use when I'm in here, but I'm not doing a video or anything. It was looking nice and bright. I got to okay, read that. I've seen you so many different times. Okay, it was looking nice and bright. Yeah, I'll occasionally throw that in there, just mix it in there. I like to try to mix it up. I don't like to always have the same color in the background, so I usually fluctuate back and forth between blue and purple because I just think they look the best. I got a light bulb like that. Chael is funny, Lamau. He said he thought when you tap, it's the end of the round, not the end of the fight. Yeah, Chael says a lot of bull. He says a lot of bull. Does Prime Adesanya beat Prime Silva? I say no. I say Prime Silva beats Adesanya. And, I mean, Adesanya says he wasn't letting his hands go. But, when you look at the fight, the fight was actually competitive. Adesanya clearly won, but the fight was competitive. So if that's a washed-up Anderson fighting Adesanya, I think Prime Anderson would beat Adesanya. What do you guys think? Okay, let me make sure. So, is anybody in here? I'm genuinely curious. Are you watching the Triller event tomorrow? And if you are you buying the pay-per-view is really the question. Are you buying the Triller pay-per-view tomorrow? And are you watching Evander Holyfield versus Vitor Belfort? Also, Anderson Silva versus Tito Ortiz is on that card. I'm genuinely curious. Because, and if you guys saw my video, I mean, I think it's disgusting. I think it's really disgusting that they're putting a 58-year-old man in there with a 44-year-old guy. And stop it, Jen. Stop it. With a 44-year-old guy who is probably abusing some sort of PEDs. I mean, have you guys seen Vitor Belfort and what he looks like? He looks like 2012, 2013 Vitor Belfort, which I think is disgusting. And the fact that they have to move the entire event to a different state just because one fighter won't get sanctioned just says everything that you need to say. I mean, that California Athletic Commission was not going to sanction Evander Holyfield. And did you guys see the training video? Oh, that open workout, Evander Holyfield looked exhausted after throwing 3 slow motion uppercuts. I can't believe. And what's disgusting, what I find most disgusting, and I forgot to mention, there's a lot of times, guys, I make videos, and then by the time I'm uploading them, or I'm rewatching them or whatever, I'm like, dang, I forgot to say X, Y, Z. And what I forgot to say when I did that video is, what's most disgusting, and this is just my opinion, I don't know if this is true, this is kind of an educated guess for me, and I may be wrong. When they get these older fighters to fight, I think what they do is, I think they promise them a very high cut of the pay-per-view revenue. So, let's say you typically get $1 per pay-per-view buy with the UFC. I don't know if that's true, but let's just say that's typical. They'll say, look, we'll give you $15 per pay-per-view buy. I'm making up numbers here, but you get the point. So these older fighters are like, oh crap, that's a great deal. But what they don't realize is these pay-per-views aren't doing big numbers. I mean, I doubt Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell 3 made any money. I mean, who was buying those pay-per-views? Even the people who are morbidly curious about it, are they really buying it? Or are they looking up something else? You know what I mean? I don't think, I know one people who is eager to shell out $50 to watch that pay-per-view. It is probably going to do, I say it does less than 30,000 buys, but maybe I'm dead wrong. I don't know, but I just don't know. I'm always honest with you guys. I am a smidge curious to see Anderson Silva versus Tito Ortiz, just because I don't like Tito Ortiz, and Anderson Silva is one of my favorite fighters. By the way, guys, I'm going to post, Ginge, you know about this. I'm going to post, I have an autograph Anderson Silva picture right here where my thumb is touching, right there. I'm going to post that on the members only feed tomorrow, so you guys can check that out. But just because Anderson Silva is one of my favorite fighters, I'm almost just a little bit curious to see how that goes, because I think he probably knocks out Tito Ortiz, or at least I hope he does. But it's not enough to pay $50 for that. What a shit card. I mean, I can't believe anybody's going to buy that. And it's one of those things where I guess there's a market for it, but I feel like they're luring these guys in with promise of pay-per-view cuts, large portions of the pay-per-view cuts, and then when they find out the pay-per-view sells less than 50,000 buys, they aren't making anything off of it. So they go out there at 58 years old, 45 years old, however old they are. They risk their brain even more than they've already done over the course of their career, and they're not even being fairly compensated for it, which I think is absolutely disgusting. It will carry on until it's atrocious. It will carry on until something tragic happens. Yep, I think so. And then it'll, taint the entire combat sports world. I believe it really will. Why don't you like Tito? Is that a real question? Big Booty Judy, is that a real question? If that's a real question, let me know, because I'm not sure that is. While we were talking about the future of Tony Ferguson, who does D. Lewis fight next? What's his future? Great question, great question. Let me know if that other question was a real question or not. Freak show fights and money fights have become way too common. Yeah, I've never been a big fan of them. And there's only one thing you can do to combat those, and it's just not watch and not discuss. And that's why I'm always tentative to even discuss it on my channel. And that's why I debated about, and I know I'm just a small channel, I'm not causing anyone to buy the pay-per-view really or whatever, but I just don't like, even if it generates clicks, like I could have done a Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley stream, I could have done videos on it, and I could have probably got some subscribers, got a lot of views, but that's just not what I'm about here. That's not what I'm about. I just don't enjoy those freak show fights, so I don't want to support them. I don't want to talk about them. I don't want to promote them in any way, shape, or form. Now on these live streams, I get into them a little bit more than I would in a typical video, but that's just because I know you guys are curious about what I think about them. But I just feel like a lot of others are spamming content about this type of stuff, and it's disgusting. I don't like it. I get there's a market for it, so be it. But the best thing that I can do is just ignore it, not discuss it, and not promote it in any way. And even though my voice is small, at least on YouTube right now, I think I can avoid it by not discussing it, as not doing countless videos about it like maybe Chael Sonnen may be doing or others may be doing, and just avoiding it. And that's just my opinion. I'm not trashing anyone that does decide to do it, but it's just what I choose to do. Okay, so yes, it's a real question. Tito Ortiz is the most annoying human being I've ever seen. I know he's a legend of the sport. Just listening to him talk is enough for me not to want to watch the sport of MMA. He's annoying. He seems like a bad human being. He seems like a total meathead. He was never even really that good when I watched, at least in the last 10, 11 years. And he just never shuts up. It's all about him. He wants to be the center of attention. He's trying to get clout. And it's just annoying. I just find him highly annoying. Woodley is still on IG campaigning for a rematch. Still think he won. Woodley has embarrassed himself. More or less, he can lose the fight. He cannot fight. I think the most embarrassing thing about the fight is he didn't even seem like he tried to fight. Then he loses the fight by the majority of people's opinions. And then he's claiming he won. Dude, shut up and go crawl back in your hole. You didn't show up. Woodley did not show up to fight for his last 5 total combat sports performances. Shut up, dude. You're not getting the rematch. Stop chasing after the money. You got your chance and you didn't do shit with it. If you wanted the rematch so bad, you should have beat him, and then you would have got the rematch. I am the Defense. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you're doing well, my friend. What's going on? Hope you're doing well. It's good staying true, even though you could be missing out on views. That's why we're here, bro. Yeah, I'm always gonna do what I think is best. I'm gonna cover what is relevant, but I'm not going to be one of these people that looks at something and is like, oh, the mainstream appeal for that, and then just try to spam videos nonstop about one topic over and over and over again, just looking for views. I'll give my take on it. We'll discuss it a little bit, especially if someone asks. But other than that, I'm not going to, Chael Sonnen, if he sees a hot button topic, he'll put 60 videos out about it. And they'll be 6 minutes long. They'll have an intro, an outro, an ad in the middle. And it's only 6 minutes long. And he basically says nothing. Even when the Diego Sanchez, Joshua Fabia stuff was going on, that was a very hot topic. And I was one of the first people to make a video about that. I was one of the first on YouTube to make a video about the whole entire situation. And even after I noticed that, holy shit, this is blowing up, I only made relevant videos about it. I didn't keep, spamming stuff. I seen people spamming Diego Sanchez videos, and it was crazy. So, I'll never be the one doing that. Do you like Rampage Jackson? Yes, I do like Rampage Jackson, yep. It's sad what he came in looking like in his last few Bellator fights. Did you see how out of shape he looked? It was sad seeing him like that. I think it was, I don't remember what fight it was, but it was in Bellator. But I enjoy Rampage. Rampage was actually the first pay-per-view I ever ordered. I ordered Rampage Jackson versus Rashad Evans. I think it was UFC 114. That was the first pay-per-view I ever paid for. I'm beginning to get sick of Woodley. I can't stand Woodley. I never want to hear from Woodley again or see him fight ever again. Eating lots of cake today. Is it your birthday? I am the defense. If it is, happy birthday. I am the defense. Going on Woodley's downfall, I think Edwards would have beaten him last year in London's canceled event. Leon Edwards would have definitely beaten him. Maybe that's a video. Maybe that's a video to make Tyron Woodley's downfall. I should make that a video, Ginge. You're giving me ideas. You give me ideas. Let me see if I can pull this up. Rampage Jackson. Let me see if I can get this picture of Rampage. Because at one point, he looked totally... I just couldn't believe it. It was one of his Bellator performances. I've seen it recently, too. Yeah, it was against Fedor. Oh, here it is. I found it. Oh, my God. This is embarrassing. Guys, if you're sending questions in the chat, I will be back in 1 second. I'm looking to put this image in here. Let's see if I can get this image in here. Okay, I got it. Look at this. I can't believe this, guys. I'm putting Rampage on the screen in a second. Okay, here we go. This was Rampage Jackson, I believe, in his last fight. Can you guys believe that? That is sad. That is so sad. Look at that. Rampage is fat now. John Rod, what's going on? Yes, sir. Thanks, bro. Happy birthday, my friend. I would sing happy birthday to you, but that would take way too long. Rampage used to be thinner. He used to be jacked. Jen says happy birthday to you as well. Prime Rampage versus Prime Anthony Rumble Johnson at 205. Who wins? I actually was thinking about that fight before. I've thought about that fight before. Who wins that fight? Prime Rumble versus Prime Rampage. Let me turn off this. Get rid of Rampage now that you guys have seen him. I would probably go with Prime Rumble Johnson. Look, I am the difference. Everyone in the community saying happy birthday. Check out the chat, my friend. Happy birthday. That's what I like about this stream right here, man. Look, we're all wishing I am the difference a happy birthday. The real question is, how old are you today? Hold on, I got a perfect message to type in the chat. There we go. Happy birthday from Joshua Fabia. I just can't believe that Rampage came into a fight looking like that. Did he even train? I know he went up to heavyweight, but did he train for that fight? I think he just came in for the paycheck, honestly. But it's sad. It's one of those things that happens in combat sports. Guys stick around till they're too old. The big 24. All right, guys. Here I've asked this like one other time. If you're in the chat right now, comment how old you are in the chat. I'm genuinely curious how old everyone is. I'm curious. I know there's a couple people who are like 16 that watch. We obviously know I am the defense is 24. I'm curious how old everyone else is. So put how old you are in the chat if you feel comfortable enough to do so. Let's see. What else did I put in this description? So we talked about it. We talked about Evander Holyfield versus Vitor Belfort, which was disgusting. We talked about 266, Volkanovsky versus Brian Ortega. We talked about Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler. Okay, how do you think that fight would go? I slightly favor Rampage. Oh, okay, so I did answer that question, but I forgot to get into more details. I will get into more details on that. Big Booty Judy's 22, John Rod's 38, Jambi is 29, Ginge is 41. Well, guys, we got a very diverse community here. A very diverse community of all ages. Everybody is welcome, whether they're 12 or 68. Ginge! Maybe you could have stepped in on short notice and went against Vitor. So anyway, the reason I favor Rumble Johnson against Rampage Jackson is because I just think Rumble Johnson's faster, and I believe he has more power. So I believe he would have clipped Rampage. I think he would have took him out. It's just a speed advantage. I think they're very similar fighters, and I believe that Rumble Johnson has a speed advantage, at least both of them in their primes. So that's really it. I know I would love to give more in-depth analysis, but I think they are very similar fighters. Rumble Johnson is just the faster fighter, and I think he would have clipped Rampage and put him out. And I think he had a power advantage too. Rampage had power, but Rumble Johnson had nuclear power in his hands. So it's one of those things where... but also, I don't trust Rumble Johnson at all. I mean, the second Daniel Cormier fight, when I saw that, I thought to myself, I never want to see Rumble Johnson fight again. I lost my train of thought there for a second. I never wanted to see Rumble Johnson fight again after that fight. I mean, he was hurting DC on the feet and then just clinching up with him, pressing him against the cage. How did that make any sense at all? I mean, like, seriously, how did that make any sense? I mean, do you guys remember that fight and how terrible that was? It was atrocious. It was atrocious. I was pissed that I even paid for that pay-per-view. I mean, Rumble Johnson put on a disgusting performance when he fought DC in that second fight. And Rumble Johnson's a perpetual quitter. I mean, if he faces... I mean, how many times have you guys heard me say on the channel, there's guys that face adversity and they come through it and they still try to fight regardless if they lose eventually anyway. And there's some guys that start to face adversity and they pack it in. Rumble Johnson's one of those guys. He starts to face adversity in a fight, and he packs it in as quick as physically possible. It's just what happens. It's just what happens with him. And it's hard to trust him. I know I'm sad that we never got Yoel Romero versus Rumble Johnson. I mean, Rumble Johnson almost lost in his most recent fight. He faced adversity, and somehow he won. So I guess maybe he's coming back. He's got some more heart. So... guys, keep filling the chat with questions. I'm going to keep going on. It's almost been an hour on the live stream. I'm going to keep going as long as you guys have some questions. I had some topics that I already covered. Evander Holyfield versus Vitor Belfort. Anderson Silva versus Tito Ortiz from Triller. Disgusting main event. Disgusting that they're putting a 58-year-old in there. Mildly intrigued. Not intrigued isn't the right word. Have the tiniest bit of interest in seeing Anderson Silva knock out Tito because he's super annoying. UFC 266. Alexander Volkanovsky versus Brian Ortega. We broke down that fight a little bit. Obviously, I'll do a prediction video much closer to that fight. We talked about Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler. We talked about Tony Ferguson's future. So any other questions you guys got, throw them in the chat. Vitor juiced the F up. I know, it's crazy, man. Vitor Belfort was absolutely jacked. And he almost took John Jones's arm. I mean, do you guys remember that? How crazy was that? And you know what's crazy? I was looking through Vitor's Instagram, and he posted a picture of that, and he said one day he will tell the true story, but if he wanted to, he would have took John Jones's arm home with him. So I guess he's saying he let up. He didn't want to break the arm, but he was juiced. He was jacked, and as soon as the TRT exemption ended, all of a sudden, he looked like a deflated balloon. And now he's 44, it's years later, 7, 8 years later, and now all of a sudden he's jacked again. Come on now, what's going on there? What's going on there, guys? I mean, we can only delve into one possible outcome there. And I think it's disturbing. And I think you know, the rules that they're going with this boxing match, I don't think that the promotion cares. They don't care if he's juiced. They just hope to sell some tickets based off his name. Thoughts on Gabe Stevenson signing with the WWE? I don't really have too many thoughts on that. I mean, the guy's an Olympic wrestler. It doesn't necessarily translate to MMA fighter. They always want to turn every Olympic wrestler into an MMA fighter. It doesn't mean anything. I hope he's getting paid. That's all I can really say about it. I don't really care. Maybe one day he'll make it to the cage, but some people just ain't built for that, you know? It takes a very specific mindset and set of skills to really want to get in there and fight another human being in a cage. True or false, Rumble could fight for the UFC heavyweight belt right now and win. I'll say true. I wouldn't favor him to win, but I think it's a real possibility. I actually really wanted to see Rumble Johnson versus Francis Ngannou maybe like a year or so ago. I think that fight would have been a lot of fun just because both guys have nuclear power. Could you imagine Rumble Johnson versus Francis Ngannou? I wouldn't want it now just because of the the fact that Francis Ngannou is the champion. But I think there's with the knockout power that Rumble possesses, I think he has a chance in any fight that he has. And that's why I'm sad we never got the John Jones fight. But at the end of the day, if DC is able to take him down and grind him out and submit him, John Jones would have been able to do the same. That's one that got away. I mean, that's one that really got away. I really wanted Rumble Johnson versus John Jones. And the fact that we'll never get that really, really makes me sad. But at the same time, if DC can do it to him, Jones can do it to him. And I don't know how successful he would be at heavyweight because he was kind of slow. Not John Jones, I'm talking about Rumble. When he fought Andrei Arlovski in World Series of Fighting, he fought at heavyweight for a while at WSOF. And he looked very slow at heavyweight. So I really think it's possible that he would beat Francis, but I think Francis would probably end up KOing him. So, who you got, Alexander or Brian? I favor Alexander, but if you go back after the stream ends, the first 20 minutes I really broke down the fight, and obviously I'll be doing a full breakdown and prediction as we get closer to the fight. I might actually do one late next week just to release it a little bit early so people can watch it. Shavkat Ramonov versus Nicholas Dalby. That would probably make sense right now. A lot of people are dying to see Shavkat fight again, if that's how you pronounce his name properly. I think a lot of people are high on his skill set. A lot of people think he's a fun prospect at welterweight. But again, we have to see him face a decent level of competition before he really gets any type of legitimate hype from me at least. Joey Nurmagomedov. What is that supposed to mean? I don't get it. My mustache is still here. I have a mustache. I'm on the conductor on the Shavkat hype train. A lot of people are hyped on that. A lot of people are hyped on that. On that train. Hyped on that. A lot of people are on that train. I wonder who he could fight next. Let me look at the welterweight rankings right now. Let me see where he's ranked on MMA World Rankings, which has the top 50. They have him ranked number 23. The thing is, he's looked good, but who has he fought? The best name that he's fought is Alex Oliveira. Come on now. I don't even know if he beats Khamzat Chimaev. He could probably beat. Could he beat Daniel? I don't know, man. A lot of these fights are tough. I still can't believe Bilal Muhammad gets the respect that he does. I really, it's hard to believe that. I'm really excited to see Khamzat. He's been getting hate of late just a little bit, but I still really want to see him fight. Like people say, he fights cans, but still see him doing that at the top of ranked guys. Yeah, I mean, only not too far away. A month and a half away. That's what sucks, though. We should have seen him fight so many times by now. And it's just, I mean, I hope that, I want to see Khamzat Chimaev. I want to see him be successful because it's going to be fun. I mean, the skills, the fundamentals appear to be there, but until he starts fighting that tough elite competition, it's really hard to tell. I mean, a win over Gerald Meerschaert's a start, but it doesn't mean a lot to me. Did you see, dude needs to just be more active? Are you talking about Khamzat or Shavkat? Did you see Khamzat training video? No, I did not. What was the training video like? What was the training video like, my friend? By the way, guys, if you haven't already, go like the stream. It helps push it out to more people. And we can get some more people in here. I'm probably going to go for an hour and a half tonight. We're almost at an hour and 10. Maybe I'll do a stream tomorrow. I don't know. Saturday, there's nothing going on. I'm trying to grow the channel. We can always discuss. We always have fun discussing MMA, regardless of what's going on. Maybe I'll do a stream tomorrow. Just on the heavy bat, but he looks very sharp. Do you think you could take any MMA fighter in a fight? So, first off, the answer is probably no. But if I had to fight one fighter, and I said this forever ago, before the recent boxing match that he had, and it's not who probably you're thinking of. If I had to take any fighter on in a fight, in a boxing fight, just hands only, I would want to box Ben Askren. His hands look terrible. Ben Askren is the first guy I've ever seen to lose a shadow boxing match. When they show him backstage before a fight and he's shadow boxing, it looks atrocious. And he looks like he has the worst hands I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, just terrible. Now, in a fight, Ben Askren would probably take me down and destroy. He would definitely take me down and destroy me. But in a boxing match, I think I could take on Ben. He looks so slow and his hands look terrible. And keep in mind, again, I don't want to trash any fighter. He's done more than I ever have, so I don't like shitting on people like that. But it's just what I see, and it looks bad. It looks very bad. And I knew that boxing match against the YouTuber was going to end terribly for him. After seeing Gerald's last fight, which was very good, it just shows how much power Khamzat really has. I know. It was a great performance by Meerschaert coming back. He was hurt, I believe, I remember correctly. But Khamzat just hit him right on the button and just slapped him, and it was brutal as could be. And it was just perfectly timed, too. And it was so quick. It was super impressive. I'm still sad that we never got the Leon Edwards fight. I really would have wanted the Khamzat Chimaev Leon Edwards fight. Stop it, Ginge. No, I could not. Nick Newell would beat the shit out of me. I like Nick Newell. I'm not gonna badmouth him. The real question is, so if the UFC... Oop, I hit my mic. Sorry, guys, for the audio there. So, if Khamzat Chimaev beats Li Jingliang, who does he fight next? So, if he beats Li Jingliang at number 11, who does he fight? I guess it all matters who's available in the division. I think he gets a big fight. I think he fights Wonderboy, Vicente Luque, Leon Edwards, or Gilbert Burns next if he beats Li Jingliang. It all matters what goes on in the division, but I think he's getting a big fight. I think Khamzat Chimaev, if he gets a win over Lee at UFC 267, I think Khamzat Chimaev's next fight is a massive fight against a big name in the welterweight division. Whether they try to remake the Leon Edwards fight, I don't know. Who knows what Leon Edwards may be getting himself into at that point in time. But I think that would be a lot of fun. I think any of those fights. Because people want to see if Khamzat Chimaev can prove himself. And that's why he got the Leon Edwards fight to begin with. Because if he was able to win, they were going to give him a title shot. Keep filling the chat with questions, guys. I'll go as long as we have questions. What's good frame for featherweight, would you say, height-wise? That's a tough question, man. Maybe how tall... The real question is, how tall is Zabit? Isn't Zabit pretty tall? 6'1". Let me look up some of the heights of some of these guys. 5'11". Who's the tall? Who do you guys think is the tallest featherweight? It's definitely not Alexander Volkanovsky. I'd say about 6'1", 6'2" is probably the best. Would be my guess if I had to really come up with a suggestion for that one. I think Khamzat would smother him. Oh, Khamzat versus Jorge Masvidal. Let me tell you this, guys. Jorge Masvidal is not taking that fight no matter what. Jorge Masvidal is going to look for a winnable fight, whether it be Nate again or McGregor, Jorge Masvidal's not done. And I actually want to talk about that because Jorge Masvidal was one of my favorite fighters for the longest time. And I thought he was grossly underrated. And after he knocked out Ben Askren, he completely changed. His entire persona changed. I feel like he got his head up his ass afterwards. And I really don't like the guy anymore. I find him quite annoying. It always seems like he's ducking fights or being, an idiot. And he just, all of a sudden, he's acting like a wannabe McGregor. And I really don't like it. Sean Woodson is the tallest featherweight. Khamzat versus Shavkat in the far future would be amazing. That could be a future title fight for all we know. If they live up to their potential, or at least their projected potential. Woodson is so tall. Let me see how tall he is. I remember seeing him and being like, holy shit. He's 6'2". I think he's just very skinny. He's not even that tall. 6'2". I'm 6'2". I love how the featherweights are taller than lightweights. Yeah, it is crazy. I would love to see Zabit versus Giga in a 3-round fight. Both really good strikers, but I would pick Zabit because of the grappling. I think the striking would be even, but the grappling isn't close. That would be a fun fight. But I wouldn't want to see Zabit come back and fight that after he's been off for so long. And he's been so injury prone. Personally, I'm tired of guys like Masvidal and Nate only fighting once a year, but always talking trash on Twitter. Masvidal was red hot after the Diaz win. He only fought twice since then. Dude, it's annoying. And that, actually, I got off topic because I read a comment. But let me get back into this. Jorge Masvidal, since the Ben Askren win, has completely changed his entire mindset, the way he acts, the way he dresses, his persona. And the fact that he hasn't fought at all. I don't care what's going on. There's no doubt in my mind the UFC has tried to get him more fights since that Nate Diaz fight. And it's just he's either out negotiating himself. And I know the UFC is always tough, but there's no doubt in my mind they could have figured it out. And there was talk of him constantly turning down the Colby fight. There was talk of them being on the Ultimate Fighter. And he just became annoying. He became the guy that was going to fight anyone and everyone. He was taking fights with Wonderboy Thompson when Wonderboy Thompson was already anointed the next welterweight champion. He was taking fights with Ben Askren, which was considered a terrible matchup for him. He was taking fights with Darren Till, which was considered a terrible matchup for him. And then all of a sudden, he gets a little clout because he flying Nico's Ben Askren. And all of a sudden, he starts becoming difficult. He doesn't fight. And since when is a win over Nate Diaz worth 2 welterweight title shots? Because that's what he got. And I don't think that he should have got that second shot. And I believe truly because the UFC wanted to sell out an arena in Florida, they gave Jorge Masvidal the next shot because of his name value. And they wanted to sell out that arena. And then the fact that he kept saying, it was because of short notice. And everyone said before that fight he was training the whole time. He comes back, he loses by a decision in that fight. He gets the fight now on supposedly more time, and he gets brutally KO'd, So, I just can't stand it. And Jorge Masvidal was one of my top 10 favorite fighters before he knocked out Ben Askren. And I wish I had a YouTube channel to break down that fight. I would love to point you guys back to that video. Because before that fight, Ben Askren was actually getting a lot of notoriety because of him constantly talking. And I said, my breakdown going into that fight was Jorge Masvidal is going to brutally KO him. I said he is going to destroy him. And I know it's easy for me to say that now, and I don't have any evidence of that. But I told multiple people before that fight, I said Jorge Masvidal is going to brutally KO him. Ben Askren has some of the worst striking I've ever seen in my life. He's the only guy I've seen to ever lose a shadow boxing match in the locker room. And sure enough, he gets brutally KO'd. But that changed the whole trajectory of Jorge Masvidal's career. And for me as a fan, it was for the worst. For the UFC, it was for the better. But it's sad, and I really would love a UFC where Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz are more active. And even if they're not going to be active, I wish they would shut up too. And Conor did the same thing. You're sitting on the sidelines talking shit. You just look like a bitch. If you're just constantly sitting on the sidelines talking about every fighter who's out there actually fighting and trying to steal their notoriety because they get a big win. Conor was notorious for that. I just find it annoying, and I don't like it at all. And it's a bad look for you too. You're not fighting, but yet every time somebody else fights and gets a quality win, you're trying to steal some of their shine. It's just so annoying. And Jorge Masvidal became one of those guys. Nate Diaz became one of those guys for a little while. At least I can say for Nate, when he does jump into fighting again, he picks out the toughest guys that's available for him. He picked out Anthony Pettis. That was a good fight for him, and a lot of people were picking Anthony Pettis going into that fight. And Anthony Pettis was respected at that point in time. I know Anthony Pettis has since fell off a cliff. Then he comes in, he fights Jorge Masvidal. That's a tough fight as well, especially for Nate, who's undersized. He's not a true welterweight. Then he picks out Leon Edwards, and there's a chance he fights Vicente Luque next. So, Nate, even though he does talk a lot, he wants to fight the toughest opponents. I hate how there's a lot of weight bullies at feather. I'd say 5'8" mark is good height without killing yourself to make weight. But, Max Holloway is taller than that. So is Zabit. I hate how George said he wants to get closer to a title shot, but then he said he wants to fight Nick Diaz. Yeah, I don't believe it. I don't think he wants to get closer to a title shot. I think it's one of those things where he just says that for appeal, but he knows he's never fighting Kamaru Usman again. If Jorge Masvidal gets another title shot, it will have to be against Colby Covington. His leg is broken. I don't know I guess Conor is okay. If Jorge wants more money, just fight in a boxing match. You get paid more and you're a big name. Just go box. In his defense, I don't think Dana would let him. Nate is completely delusional and make excuses for every fight. The Diaz brothers love making excuses. That's just something that comes with their personality. I just ignore it. It doesn't bother me, and I know it would bother me for other fighters. But it's just one of those things I feel like with the Diaz brothers, you just got to ignore it. Every fight they won, every fight they walked the guy down, and every fight, it doesn't matter. They could get KO'd and they would still say the other guy wasn't fighting and they should have got the decision. Nate, but it's an issue when Conor says factual statements. Yeah, I think it's just one of those things with Nate you just avoid because it's, I don't want to say it borderlines on the truth, but it's just one of those things where the Diaz brothers get away with it for whatever reason. Conor does not, and Conor's always making excuses as well, and it disgusts me. I don't like anybody making excuses. I've criticized everyone for doing that. I don't like when the Diaz brothers do it. I don't like when Conor does it. I don't like when Darren Till does it. But I know there is a double standard between the two. I will admit that. Even for me a little bit too. Because I'm just so used to the Diaz brothers making excuses, I don't even listen to it. It doesn't even register in my mind. It goes in one ear and out the other. It's not even worth putting any brain power into thinking about it. That's how much I care about their excuses because they make an excuse every fight. It's just what happens. It was just what happens. By the way, guys, if there's anybody watching this stream right now, right, that is not subscribed to the channel, you have to subscribe to the channel to be able to participate in the chat. So go subscribe and turn on notifications. And if you're subscribed to the channel already but you don't have notifications on, do me a favor. Go turn on notifications right now. So that way every time I post a video, you guys can see it. Every time I go live, you guys can see it. And that way, you guys can always be a part of the live streams. So, if you're not subscribed, go subscribe. It's simple as that. UFC fighter cannot take boxing matches. Exactly. If they're under contract, the UFC, Dana's not very likely to let them go box. It all depends, especially with what's going on right now. No, he's not going to let them do it. They're under contract. Conor was a special case because he was on fire at the time. And to fight the GOAT in boxing. The only reason the UFC let Conor fight Floyd is because the UFC was taking a cut of that. Basically the UFC and Dana White was pimping out Conor to make money for themselves. They were getting a payout in that. I found Conor versus Poirier 3 press conference so cringe. Conor was trying hard. It was cringe as... I agree. I actually did a watch along for that. And I know I'm biased and I wanted Dustin to win that fight. But Conor couldn't have looked more stupid in that press conference. He couldn't have looked more stupid, in my opinion. That's why I love the Diaz brother. They just don't care. It's hilarious. Is middleweight the worst male division? Brunson is top 4. That can't be a good thing. I'd say heavyweight. Heavyweight is the worst division. Maybe middleweight is a close second. But I think heavyweight division, it's starting to fill out a little bit better. But if you look at heavyweight and you get past the top 3 guys, which would be Francis Ngannou, Cyril Gane, and Stipe Miocic, I mean, it falls off a cliff. So you got 3 decent guys in the heavyweight division, in my opinion. Then you got, after that, you got Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades, Alexander Volkov, all okay. Jairzinho Rosenstrike, again, none of these guys are even that well-rounded, you know. I mean, Augusto Sakai is in the top 10 rankings. Augusto Sakai. You know what I mean? So, Chris Daukaus is in the top 10. Come on now, guys. Come on now. I think heavyweight is the worst. Middleweight might be second. Let me take a look. I don't know. It's hard for me to guess. And also, sometimes it's the product of a champion looking so good, it kind of makes the division look like shit. I definitely think the bantamweight division is the best division, though. I'll tell you that much. So bantamweight, the UFC bantamweight division is without a doubt the best division in the UFC. Probably followed by lightweight and then maybe welterweight. I don't know, though. I haven't put a lot of thought into it. Super close. But Brunson also is highly underrated. But also I get that his skill set is very limited. And the fact that he, looks so horrible on the feet and in the striking department, it's not a good look for the division. So, in that case, I do agree with you, and I do get what you're saying. Because, Brunson's stand-up looks so bad. Derek Brunson, the stand-up literally looks like he's drunk. And the closing of distance is terrible. I'd say it's all about the money with Dana. Whatever sells can happen. Exactly. And they have to get a big cut of those sales. Let's be real. Heavyweight is only exciting when the big names are fighting. Exactly. Volkov, the top 3 Blades, and Tom Aspinall are the only good fighters. Yeah, and some of those, I just feel like Ngannou, Gane, and Stipe are all light years ahead of all the rest of them. So this might be random. Really, okay, this might be random, but I really, really want to see Movsar Evloev versus Ilia Topuria. That'd be a great fight. That'd be a great fight for featherweight. I really would like that. I wouldn't mind that either. Topuria is currently ranked number 15. Movsar is currently ranked number 13. That'd be a great fight. There's a lot of great fights coming up, guys. There's so many great matchups, and the UFC's been on top of the matchmaking lately. They really have been. I wonder when we're going to see. I really wonder when we're going to see Cyril Gane versus Francis Ngannou. I'm hopeful for January, but something tells me we ain't going to see it till February or March, and it's going to drive me nuts because that's a fight I am pumped for. Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane should be a lot of fun, guys. I think they'll make Evloev, Mitchell, and TKZ Chikadze. I think they're definitely going to make the Korean Zombie versus Chikadze. It just makes a lot of sense right now. I think Mitchell has a fight, though. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, my friend. Let me look that up real quick. Mitchell. So, Evloev does not have a fight. Apparently, Bryce Mitchell doesn't have a fight either. So, maybe they will make it. Good call, my friend. Good call. I definitely think they'll make Korean Zombie versus Chikadze just because if you look at the division right now, it's going to be Chikadze versus someone ahead of him. Josh Emmett's very inactive. Arnold Allen, I think he has a fight. Calvin Kattar's coming off that bludgeoning by Max Holloway. Chan Sung Jung's available and coming off a win over, was it Danny, I believe? And then Yair's fighting Max and Brian Ortega's fighting Volkanovski. So it's the only fight that really makes sense right now is the Korean Zombie versus the Giga Chikadze. Flyweight gives heavyweight a run for its money on thinness. It's had some fun fights lately, but there's 5-6 guys at best. I like flyweight, man, but let me take a look. I love Brandon Moreno. Now, I think there's just not as many names. I think there's quality guys in the division. I think it's not as deep as bantamweight or lightweight or anything like that. But I would say it would probably be ahead of middleweight, honestly. I don't know, though. It's hard. It's hard to compare them. You got Brandon Moreno, the champion, Devison Figueroa, Askar Askarov's legit, Pantoja's legit, Alex Perez is legit. But you're right. Okay, I'm not going to argue there. There's 6, 7 guys. Royval has looked good. Joseph Benavidez is obviously towards the end of his career. Kai Kara France looks good. Tim Elliott almost beat Mighty Mouse. A lot of people forget about that. So a lot of people really forget about that. Who do you think will win, Strickland or Rockhold? Who do you want to win? I think Rockhold wins. I just think he's got decent enough striking, and I don't think Strickland's going to knock him out. And I think Rockhold will take him down and probably submit him, and he has great top game. Thanks for stopping by the stream, French Fries. Don't forget to like it while you're here. But there is no card tomorrow. But there's a chance I do a random stream tomorrow night just because there's nothing going on. I'm not 100% committed on that one yet, but maybe I will. I'm trying to grow the channel, so every time we do this stream, I talk with you guys. We come up with some video ideas. We discuss all thing MMA. Sometimes I gain a couple subs, and we have some fun. If anybody's watching this stream right now, and this is the first time you found my channel, and you already subscribed, let me know who you are. Put your name in the chat right now. When I used to watch YouTube live streams, I never ever participated in the chat. I never ever did. So if you're one of those people, just participate in the chat this one time, just for me. I want to see a fresh name in that chat right now. So, what's going on, Jay Blunt? Are you one of those new guys? Are you a new subscriber, or you been around for a while? I feel like I might have seen your name once before. But I hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by the live stream. If you have any MMA-related questions, put them in the chat. Look, perfect. Perfect, my friend. I knew. See? I try to do a couple streams per week. I usually stream on Wednesday. On Wednesday, just an open discussion like this. On Tuesdays, I've been trying to stream the Contender Series. And then occasional on like a Friday or Saturday, I'll do a stream, whether it be a fight companion or whatever. But it's nice to have you part of the community, my friend. Thanks for finding the channel, and thanks for subscribing. There's always a couple people that find the stream when I'm live streaming. Now you've given me the energy to continue to go for another hour, for another half hour to 2 hours. So thank you for subscribing, my friend, and I hope you enjoy the videos that I put out. You'll have to check some of them out. Thank you. But yeah, it's sad. It almost feels weird that there's no card tomorrow. I mean, I know there's the Triller card, which we've already talked about, which is disgusting. By the way, guys, I always like to give you updates on my subscriber count since it doesn't come up specifically now on my channel. I am now at 1,176. So if you guys know anybody who love MMA, they have to like MMA and they have to watch the videos. Send them my channel and tell them to go subscribe. I want to get to 1,200 and I want to try to get to 10,000 before the end of the year. I know that's a big goal and I don't know if it'll happen, but you got to set high goals. Otherwise, what's the point? Who would you pick in Cody versus Kai Kara France? I'm picking Cody. I think Cody's super fast. Kai Kara France is okay. But I just feel like I'm sad that Cody, I can't believe Cody got beaten as badly as he did in his last fight. What kind of streak is Kai Kara France on? I can't remember right now. So he lost to Royval by submission. After that, he beat Bontarine. And I got hiccups. I think Cody will be fast and now I got the hiccups now. I think the power will be the difference in the fight. What's your stream schedule like? I don't really have a stream schedule. Jen says you'll be streaming every time you say you may do. Not every time. I don't feel like it's every time. I stream every Wednesday, usually. Every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. I try to stream every Tuesday for the Contender Series since it started up. I occasionally do a random stream on Fridays. And then I stream the smaller UFC cards and some Bellator and some PFL. So basically I try to stream as much as possible because I like talking to you guys. But also I like helping grow the channel and, get more loyal supporters and help get more subscribers. And you know what I mean? There's only so much to talk about sometimes. So I try to do it when it's relevant. Like for example, Wednesday, I feel like we can catch up on all the stuff that's gone on. For the fights, we more or less talk about the fights that are going on live. And then Fridays, I just mix in there. And then tomorrow, there's no fight card, so I just may do it just because there's no fight card. But we'll see. But thanks for asking, my friend. Thank you for asking. What fight would have more fight of the night potential? Korean Zombie versus Max Holloway, or Yuri Prochazka versus a light heavyweight version of Stevenson Figueroa? Yuri Prochazka versus Stevenson Figueroa. I think. Ow. Yuri Prochazka is going to be an exciting fight in any fight that he's in. And a light heavyweight version of Stevenson Figueroa would just be absolutely insane. So I got to go with that fight. I think Holloway probably beats up Korean Zombie and just dominates him with volume and pressure. So can't do a stream every day. Absent makes the heart grow fonder. Exactly. Can't do it every way. Streams range from 1.5 to 4 hours so far. I can't believe I've done one that's like 3.5 hours. It was one PFL. Who won, KG or Cannonier? I had KG. I don't remember what rounds at this point, but I had KG winning. And I thought it was obvious, but I didn't think it was a total robbery. I knew the fight was close. Maybe, I think I might have had 1, 2, and 5 like you. I don't know. I have to go back. I do have a post-fight to that fight card if you eventually want to go check it out. But I think it might have been 1, 2, 5 for me as well for KG. Did you watch the Paul Woodley fight? If so, what did you think about it? So first off, I did not purchase that pay-per-view. I did not want to support that. I did see it, and I thought it was boring. I thought it was uneventful, and I thought it was an absolutely shameful performance from Woodley, coupled with the fact that he's claiming he won afterwards, which I thought made it even more disturbing. And that's pretty much my entire thoughts about it. I don't ever want to see it again. And I regret even watching it to begin with because it was terrible. It's a waste of time to even watch. But yeah, I had a decision. I had KG 1, 2, and 5, but I don't mind the decision. I don't think it was a straight up robbery by any means. It was just one of those things that's super close. My prediction record would be amazing if it wasn't for some close decisions. I talked about it on my live chat this week. My current prediction record, let me pull that up for you. So I keep track of the main events, the UFC main events, as well as the title fights. And right now, I am 21-8 in main event predictions. But if it wasn't for KG, which was a close decision, Sandhagen versus TJ, I had Sandhagen. I could be 23-6 right now, which you know how good that would be for picks for main events? That would be amazing. You know what I mean? Is Nick Diaz too old now? He's 38. I don't think so. It may show to be that he is too old. But I think there's plenty of guys that have fought at an elite level at 38. It's not a long list, but it's a decent list. If he comes in shape, he can put on a great performance. I'm hoping that he does. I want to see him put on a good performance. Even if he loses, I want to see him put on a great performance. I want to see that fight. I don't want to see any losers coming out of that fight. I don't care. I just want it to be a great fight. By the way, guys, if you want a 2-hour stream tonight, keep pumping the chat full of questions. And make sure to like the stream. And become a member. Become a member with the link below in the description. Look, hold on. Let me show you guys. For some of you guys who haven't seen it, let me show you what you guys get. Let me show you what you guys get real quick. Let me go to this. Let me see if I can find it now. Look at these emojis you would get if you become a member of the channel. Here's only some of them. I hope that's... Hold on a second. I didn't want that to do that. Hold on. I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to stream, guys. So, look at these beautiful loyalty badges and beautiful emojis you get if you become a member of the channel. And all you have to do is click the link below, and it's only $2.99. So, already what's the most biased commentary you've ever heard on a pay-per-view? I swear most of the time it's the UK ones, it seems like. I'm trying to think what's the most biased one. There's been some of them where I've watched and it's almost like they're watching a totally different fight. It's almost like they're watching a totally different fight. And I can't think of them, any of them off the top of my head, which ones that it was. But there's some that are like overseas UK events, and I feel like what are they? I feel like they're so biased towards like a Gunnar Nelson or something like that. But I can't think of any off the top of my head. John Lineker, they look great. Yeah, become a member, my friend. You'll get access to them. I've added more since then, but I don't have a picture on my computer. I have Sleepy Conor McGregor, which I actually think I might have a picture on the computer. I have Joshua Fabia leaning against the tree, and I also have Mike Perry. Let me send that. Let me see if I have the Sleepy McGregor. Let me see if I have the Sleepy McGregor or not. I think I might have that on the computer, honestly. Let me take a look. Sleepy McGregor is my personal favorite, honestly. I know I have it somewhere here. Let me see if I can find it.